Good morning, everybody. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Also for this 19th day of January. It has another significance to us. It was 32 years ago this morning that we woke up to Louisville's coldest morning ever. 22 below zero in Louisville, wind chills around 30 to near 40 below zero. And actual numbers into Shelby County, the coldest Kentucky has ever been anywhere in Kentucky. Towards Shelbyville, 37 below zero. Yikes. All right. So this time period of Martin Luther King Jr., the holiday weekend, we all know 1994 was the weekend that things got wild. And interestingly enough, here we go again, tracking a similar setup as far as its attention and what everyone remembers about very cold Arctic air and a lot of snowfall and even some ice that got involved with it. I'm not saying it's a repeat of the amounts. I'm just saying the repeat of that intensity of topic. Only about a week off, it looks like, coming back into play. I know everyone's been wanting to, I know you all want to talk about this for this weekend, and we're going to. I'm going to go into the thought process as of today, and this is going to be a long week for us, all right? Because every day I'm going to be adjusting my thoughts probably a little bit more as I get more data, as you would hopefully expect me to do, because the weather just doesn't, show up 6 days out, 5 days out, and that's the way it stays. We know better than that. But there will be a lot of adjustments, so it's very important that you stay close to the forecast changes we roll along. But first off, welcome to SnowTALK. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. This is where we talk all things snow. And for 25 years, this is kind of the place that we do it. And it's been a roller coaster ride this winter, for sure, even with the snow that we had in December, which technically was before winter, that we had. That was pretty manageable, wet snow events in December. That's what I like. This stuff that we're facing here coming up, I love snow. But this is a little different. This is going to be with Arctic, very cold air, and dangerously cold wind chills potentially could show up. So it's going to be the type of snow that, yes, it's going to be wild to see how this unfolds, but it's going to be very hard for us to enjoy it because it'll be so cold. So there's a, double-edged sword here on this kind of a setup. I will say that you're going to be hearing a lot of chatter about it. You already have, I'm sure. You're seeing a lot of maps. I know it's overwhelming, especially if you're on social media and you're a weather nut like I am. You've seen a lot of stuff out there, and you're going to keep seeing stuff. That's fine. That's fine. And we've got our own stuff we're going to be sending out, right? Just try to go at ease with it, take it as entertainment value, really, for many cases. But at the same time, this has got the potential, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This has the potential to be a significant event for the region. So, yes, you need to start thinking about preparing for the what if it ends up coming into light in our area. There will be some high impacts. Okay, so let me walk you through it here in a second. Let's get into the snowboard, and we'll get into the finer details of problems, because we have a couple of things we're going to get to too that are taking place. I don't want anyone to ignore. All right, brief snow showers. That's one of them. That'll be Wednesday morning. All about timing. I'll come back to that. Friday nights. I think it's really Friday nights into Sunday. We have the alert day out for right now for Saturday and Sunday. We may have to bump this out. This may be a fairly extended alert day block that's coming our way. Carson got the dates out. We were talking last week that if it was still there this weekend, we're going to go with an alert day for this upcoming weekend. That's the case, but now we're going to be fine-tuning this block that'll be coming our way, so bear with us on that, but I think you get the point. It's a potential winter storm, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not a flurry setup. The system's got a kick to it. It's whether or not it's here or not. And then right after that, snow is possible. That looks to be lighter, but it'll be in Arctic air. So it could still be another impactful setup. Outside right now, it's cold out, right? We had a few flurries that were flying around last night. very early this morning. You may have seen a few outside. Otherwise, this is just going to be a cold, sunny day today. That's good. We have a lot of events taking place for MLK Day today, but it's very, very cold for a lot of them. Hopefully some of them are inside, but in general, it is going to be a cold, blustery day. It's a second wave that came through last night. You may have heard the wind that was ramping up or seen the wind too. That is the second push of Arctic air. So tonight will be the coldest night of this week that will take place, and that will lead us into the bus stops for tomorrow morning. So brace yourselves. I'll come back to that. Here's the current temperature right now in Louisville, 25. That's not too bad. 27 in E-Town, 18 in Paoli. Current wind chill in Louisville, 13. Feels like 3, though, into Bedford. Feels like 6 in North Vernon, Madison, down to the south, 16 into Bardstown. Tonight's low tomorrow morning, right around 10 here in Louisville. If you're away from the city limits, you will likely be into the single digits. The wind will be lighter for tomorrow morning. That's good. However, you only need just a breeze, just someone walking by you. So tell everyone that's outside the bus stop, wherever the case would be, tell everyone to walk slow. Don't walk too fast by me. You create a wind chill. Because even a slight breeze is going to push values down to or even below 0. Now, there's no extreme cold weather advisory that is out for tomorrow. I don't think we're going to get to that threshold, which is roughly about -10. But we'll still be 0 or maybe 5 below in a few spots. Still, not quite an alert on that, but it's cold. But it will likely get worse as things go on the way this winter's looking. So, and relatively speaking, this would be something will just be a test run. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, test run. Look at that. Test run for tomorrow morning to see how you handle it. What layers, how many layers you had to have on. And that's a good starting point to prepare yourself for the cold that will be coming with the multiple shots of cold air that are coming our way. Not just one in the extended. It's not an Arctic blast. It's not a one single Arctic blast in the extended. There are at least 3. And I'm talking about all the way into Valentine's Day. So this is going to be a long few weeks ahead of us. This is no doubt going to be the core of winter. We're about to enter, and we're just going to have to hang tight and just buckle up and go slow. Take it one at a time. Everyone gets a little heated on social media when we get into a pattern like this. Everyone gets a little testy, and I can be that way too. So if I feel that I've been that way, I apologize. But it's easy to get a little unhinged on social media, but I try not to be. Try to take a step back and let you guys just kind of say what you want to say. If you're mad, you're mad. We have a lot of people that get on to our pages, by the way, and on the blog here that are not normally here. They're usually in Kansas or in Nevada, and they just want to chime in. That's fine. Everyone's welcome. But again, everyone just take it easy. Be nice to each other. Be nice to your local friendly meteorologist as well. Everyone's trying their best. The problem with the world today is that we have so many updates that it seems, and it does get overhyped, right? Because normally you would have to wait till the 6 o'clock news to find out the latest of a winter setup for the week. Each night, 6 o'clock, you gotta wait. Now you don't have to wait. You're going to get a social media post every hour at every model run, and you're going to get 20 million streams, a blog update, multiple blog updates, maybe a day coming your way. So it's loud. It's constantly being talked about. That creates hype. I get it. But that is also the world we're in now. So we got to get away from the word of everything's being hyped up. That's just the way it is. It's the information world, and everything gets hyped up. I'm talking about anywhere from the newest TikTok dance to what is the steal at Kroger for a good price to major news events. It all gets shared and hyped up. So anyway, just my little soapbox. Everyone, please just be kind to one another. There you go. All right, I'll stay quiet. I'll get back on weather. Current satellite shows a lot of sun here today, as we talked about. So bright and sunny, no problems. Let's move on. We're going to stay cold tonight, as you saw. The numbers tank in the area tonight into early tomorrow morning. There are a few clouds that do pass around. That can sometimes help us on shaving off a couple degrees if they're here at the right time at sunrise. Wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think it's going to be enough of a cloud cover or thickness to cause a huge concern. But I do think the passing clouds could be interesting. We'll watch that and see. Maybe we can save ourselves a couple degrees from being so brutal on the cold tomorrow morning. The rest of the day is going to be another cold setup, but then we try to warm things up. We get this warm front that'll move in. Tuesday night into Wednesday. And as it does, you can see these freezing line gets pushed up into central Kentucky. Probably too far north. This is the graph model, our in-house model, too far north, I think. But cold air is tough to move in a hurry, so I think this is going to be a bit colder, which is why I think the modeling showing snow makes sense. But this is fast. This moves in, and it gets absolutely just pushed off to the east rapidly. But once again, we are dealing with a scenario of a light snow event at rush hour. We went through this last week. We did well with it, right? It snowed, but it wasn't heavy enough to cause a problem. But we erred on the side of caution. So did the Weather Service. You do that, and anytime you see this scenario, you really have to do that. It may not seem like the case because it didn't really come to light the other day, but most of the time it causes problems. So if you've grown up here, you know what I'm talking about. This one's a little different. The one last week was more of a clipper that came in from Illinois and passed through Indiana. It was fighting dry air. This one's a little different in the sense that this is a moisture surge from the south coming from the Gulf. So I think the radar is certainly going to light up, and we're going to be cold, and we have been cold. So once again, the ground's frozen. We're not going to get above freezing at all between now and this event. So this is going to be a little bit more complex. We'll monitor it, but I'm not going to roll out there being another day for the commute for Wednesday just because of timing. But just like in a similar setup for the last round, we did warm up throughout the day, right? This one's going to do the same thing. We're going to climb after the morning commute. So it's really an issue of just being maybe impacting delays in the area. Otherwise, the day will improve. It's all about timing. So if we see that timing hold, we'll go with that idea. So these kind of events too, everyone's like looking at the weekend. I get it. But these are the ones that can be sneaky and cause a problem because no one's like, hey, where'd this come from? You know, no one talked about this on Wednesday morning, and everyone's talking about the weekend. I thought it was supposed to be the weekend we had snow. So anyway, we don't want you to get caught off guard about this. So I'm just going to drive this home a little bit harder today that it's something we're watching. Okay, it passes on by, and then we get a nice little breather for the rest of Wednesday. It's nice, staying above freezing. It's very pleasant, right? Then we get into Thursday. That sets the stage where actually this model begins to stop, but that sets the stage of what's coming our way next. All right, so let me kind of explain. Let me get into a wider view here. And this is going to be the system, by the way, that's going to kick up the light snow. It'll kind of dig all the way down and kind of pass way to the south. It'll lose that snow component there, but it will regain it over the Ohio Valley Wednesday morning. But anyway, just kind of do my play-by-play here. Let me show you the cold Arctic air that is settling in the area today. I mean, brutally cold up here, but this is not even the core. This is a piece of the polar vortex, but the actual core of it. And this is going to be the coldest air on planet Earth. Thank you for having summer down in the Arctic, or the Antarctica right now, and the South Pole. But the coldest air on Earth will be in the eastern United States and parts of the Midwest, and eventually New England as we head into next weekend. So that in itself is an anomaly. It could even set records in some areas of the Midwest, especially, and the Great Lakes. And you know, when they're talking about record cold there, come on. I mean, they get cold all the time, but if they're talking about records, it could be reached. And that's an issue. So you're dealing with a high anomaly event that is coming our way. Things are going to go differently than what the models are going to say. The models are not going to fully understand this. They're trying to, on the physics side here, the AI machine learning models, I think, will be interesting in this scenario because I think they may actually handle this better than the physics models that we typically use that are mathematical based. I'm not sure they're going to do as well. I think the AIs may do better in this scenario for the weekend. So just FYI, if you're a model watcher, pay more attention to that data than I think you would for the normal models, at least for right now. That's my gut feeling because it is a high anomaly event, and I've noticed AI does a little better with that. Okay, so as we get into Friday and Saturday, the issue we've got is the cold Arctic air is going to stay basically in this zone here into Canada. There is a piece of it that will break free and drop down as we get into Friday. It will settle down into roughly the Ohio River Valley and kind of a zone right here. At the same time, energy, kind of a cutoff flow. It's a split flow here. So the jet goes up to the north and dives down. And then there's a jet that kind of goes across here and tries to feed up. and they get very close together in the eastern United States, and that induces a storm, a winter storm. Question we've got here is, will this little piece that's diving in, will it get here before and settle in before the storm can really roll on out as we head into Friday and Saturday? If so, it will allow a storm track to be much more suppressed down into I-40 to maybe even down into the deep, deep south. We've seen that happen before, but here's the challenge. You got to look at jet stream flows here that are like rivers, because they basically are the atmospheric rivers, but you don't see the water flowing. It's the air that's flowing, but you can't see it. But think of it as rivers for just a moment, and say that you've got someone that's up here and they put in a raft or a inflatable ring into the water up here. Someone's doing the same thing down here, but you're putting in both in the water at the same time on the rivers, and you're doing that so you could see which one would get to the Ohio Valley first. And your goal is to try to get them to get there at the same time. That's hard to do. You've really got to keep in mind a lot of things in that idea, but when do you release it? You know, you're radioing in to the person up north, like, I'm ready to go, drop it. Things can go wrong. We don't know how they're going to eventually get here on speed and interact with one another. It's too far out in time to know that. And the rivers up to the north here, these are Arctic rivers. These move faster. Cold air, as I always say, is like a bully. It is heavy. It can be overwhelming. It really likes to just dive on south. Warm air is more polite. Takes a sweet time. It doesn't like to push cold air out of the way. It likes to go over it, which is where you probably heard the term overrunning a lot in ice events, especially because the warm air can't go under it. It can't cut under the cold air. It has to go over it instead. So that creates a freeze and rain scenario that can develop. So the interacting part of all this is going to be fascinating, and how this will play out, because we have seen before every scenario I just listed to you, we have seen it some case. We have seen Arctic air overwhelm the storm track, and it has been a deep south snow. We get very little. I have seen a situation where the cold air is delayed just enough. It's not moving fast enough that the system here, the raft, if you will, and the Southern River gets here faster, and therefore you push the ice line more north into the Ohio Valley. And it's a Midwest or upper Ohio Valley snowstorm and just rain in the deep south. And then somewhere there's an in-between. I think right now where we're heading on this is the somewhere in between is most likely, the two extremes there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the Euro. I got to show you something. I'm probably have more hand-drawn stuff in the next couple of days, seeing how the models do the next day or two. Because I think models are tough to use. But today I'm short on time, and I know you guys want to know something. So I want to give you some idea of where we're at. So as we evolve into Friday, all right, now in this case, the Euro does bring down the cold air. It does get established already in the Ohio Valley. Now, in this scenario, that guarantees us this is going to be all snow. I don't see any freeze and rain or ice in the Euro idea. Here comes the system rolling out. You can tell by looking at this one, this one's running just a bit behind, right? The cold air got here just a little bit faster, just a tad faster. But this is still not the core of the cold. It gets stretched out through the Arctic air, right in through here. This is still your storm in Texas. This is not the storm in Kentucky. Not yet, but it is snowing on Saturday because the moisture begins to just absolutely break out in the overrunning scenario. The air is flowing in from the Gulf, and boy, it's just like it is eating this attention up. It loves the idea of that cold Arctic air being there, but it's flying over it. So you get ice on the zone right at the edge of where you go to rain, go to ice, freeze and rain, sleet, quite a bit of sleet. And then you get into where it changes out of the mixed area and goes to snow. Oh, that's the sweet spot right on the edge of that. That's where your big snow is going to be. So anywhere that's going to get the big heavy snow out of this, they're going to have ice not too far away. Within, like I say, it's the Nashville area. Okay, well, within the Nashville TV viewing market, they will likely have ice and the very heavy snow both in their viewing area, if that's the case. I think in our area, it is going to be a snow setup. Now, a lot of people are like, well, it's going to be so far suppressed, we get nothing. Not necessarily, because in cold Arctic air like this, and overrunning, yes, it can block a lot of the deeper moisture from getting north. Absolutely can do that. Just like we talk about in severe weather season with thunderstorms. But there is still enough moisture that you can absolutely squeeze out just a very big area of light snow, very large area of light snow. It would only be maybe an inch or two, right? But it would be large. So I think that really, at the moment, my gut feeling is not saying this is going to be a nothing or a winter storm. I think it's going to be something coming our way. It's just a matter of the intensity of it and the type, although I'm not sold on ice getting involved yet. I think the cold air, the way this week is taking place with Arctic air already here now, if we didn't have this current Arctic air, I'd be a little more suspect of what is going to happen here for the weekend. I would bet more on the ice scenario over all of Kentucky. I think it would be an ice storm actually for Kentucky if we didn't have the Arctic air now. But we do have it. So that is going to complicate things. The little wave on Wednesday this week is not enough to flip things around on us. It's just a brief interruption, but it's not enough. So I think this is going to be all snow. But having said that, now we just got to figure out how much moisture is available to whether it is that not really Arctic dust, but just a very light amount of snow, or are we talking about several inches coming into play into parts of the Commonwealth? And I don't have that answer. I can tell you, yeah, that's going to happen. Whatever. Well, no one knows. No one knows that. I'm not going to be, that arrogant about it. I think it's a setup that just needs to be watched. But I will tell you that this is going to be a big winter event for a lot of people. It's going to be hard to escape this. Well, unless you go far north. But just about everywhere in the southeast corner of the country is going to have something to deal with it. Is going to be significant. And I'm talking about areas that would be hit hard by winter event. They're not used to it, and their infrastructure is more at risk for power outages, delays. Airports may close, may have to shut down, that kind of thing. So travel impacts are likely as we head into Friday into the weekend, just because of it hitting areas that are not normally used to this kind of stuff. So if you have any travel plans all this weekend, travel is going to be highly impacted. Stay ahead of the game here and be aware that even if you're flying to Chicago out of, say, Louisville, and you have a connecting flight, it may end up being in Atlanta. Because of that connecting flight, there will likely be delays just because the other parts of the country are a mess. All right, so keep that in mind. So as this rolls on by, the core of the storm then should be Saturday. So the cold Arctic air, the boundary that settles in Friday, should ignite Arctic snow, if you will, in the Ohio River Valley area. So very light snow should begin Friday. Don't know how heavy it'll be yet to cause impacts. If we see that increase, we'll have an alert day even start as early as Friday afternoon. For now, I think it's Saturday is when the low finally does move across the southern United States here to allow for then the snow to reach right in. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what my pen's doing. To reach right into the Ohio Valley. And this will continue until early Sunday and then out of here by Sunday afternoon. And then we get another Arctic plunge right in behind that. We'll bring more light snow and more issues later into the end of the month. This will be more of a snowy setup here than what you see. It's going to be a lot of light snow. It looks very dry. And it's going to be light, but I think it's going to be very pretty as far as a lot of light snow on the radar everywhere. And very cold air coming into play. And then we'll try to thaw out after that, but I think we're back at it again not long after. Let me show you the matrix. This is from the ensembles from the Euro. You can see the light snow event for Wednesday morning. It is there. Pretty high agreement on it. Here is the weekend setup. And it's filled in very well, right? So, I mean, confidence is high on getting some snow here. It's just, you can tell the amounts vary there. And then right after that, again, we get a couple waves that come by that could still add even on more snowfall that we'll fine tune all the way into early February. Let me show you the 10-day and then get to your questions, because I can see you guys, there's a lot of you on. I can see the screen just flying by here. So I'm sorry that if I missed some of them, but here we go. Here's the 10-day. You can see 24 today, although we're basically going to be above that, maybe about a couple degrees, looks like. And very, very cold tonight. Friday is or Wednesday, maybe Thursday, the only days I really see us being above freezing at all of the entire 10-day. And that's only parts of those days. Not enough to cause a great thaw here. And then we get into Friday and the weekend. We just absolutely dive on temperature. We get into the snowy setup, and then we get more snow potentially into that following week. Okay, so let me get to some of your questions. I will start actually the most recent so that I have hopefully answered some stuff. Let's see, Ricky. Good question here. Where'd you go? Your comment was just there. There you are. What's the chance of a bust? Well, it depends. Do you mean bust as in you're not going to get, the big snow out of this? Chance of a bust that you're going to get ice, or a bust you're going to get anything at all? There's different ways to look at that. If you're referring to it missing us altogether and being all south in general, that odd is probably, how do I word this? I think the odds are higher on us getting snow right now of about, say, 40% of getting a all snow event. I don't want to get into the odds of getting high amounts. I think it's a little wild to say that right now. But to get more of an ice setup, I think it's more like a 15 to 20%. And to avoid the heavy snow altogether and get light snow, probably 30%. Does that all make sense? Probably not. But there is some bust potential, absolutely, Ricky, on it being so suppressed, only because that band goes east-west, especially if you get any thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast. I've seen this many times. Thunderstorms feed into an ice storm. So that will feed into wherever that ice will be in the deep south, more than likely, anywhere from I-40, I-20 area. And then you're going to have your heavy snow on the edge of that. But to get the heavier snow to get even farther north than that mark is going to be hard to do. All that's going to be blocking the flow. So you only get lighter snows north of that heavy snow band. So how the radar evolves to in the deep south. Again, thunderstorms, we'll have to watch that because if it's pretty wild on the Gulf Coast, that could certainly influence how much moisture you can get this far north. But if the track just lifts just a little bit more, we're right there on the edge of the ice zone, and that's where your heavier snow will be. I would say right now, if you are in Kentucky, your odds of having a more significant impact are higher than Indiana. And if you are closer to the Tennessee border, your odds of getting a bigger snow than Louisville are higher. But I will leave it at that. So everyone's going to ask about their own particular spot. I can't answer that entirely yet. Hey, Austin, is it possible we skip Friday with any travel issues? Possibly, but it is going to be cold on Friday. So, Austin, any amount of light snow is going to start causing issues. And we're hoping right now this is going to be more of a Friday night setup than Friday daytime. But it'll be light, but it'll start to cause a light snow setup in the area. Again, you're going to have moisture breaking out well in advance of the low pressure. All on that boundary, the radar will light up. It will become the heaviest when the low rolls on out and is free from Texas and comes into the southeast. That is when your heaviest will take place. That will be more so Saturday overall and ending Sunday. Are we going to another live tonight? We're going to be streaming today because of the game. We're going to be streaming today. So our newscast will be normal all day, whether if there's nothing on interrupting us on TV, we'll be on TV. And if there's something interrupt us on TV, we'll be streaming. And Kevin is back today, so he'll be on later on for this evening. Ryan, will the snow ratio be higher than 10 to 1? Absolutely. Absolutely. With this kind of an air mass, it could be as high as 15 to 18, something like that, to 1. So good question. Hey, Cameron, hope all's well. Overperforming, I think, will be our friend. Typically, when you see high amounts of moisture already this far out with an Arctic setup, yes, the amounts do tend to go up as you get closer than down. It's been my experience. So when you see these outlooks from the Weather Prediction Center that have low risk for heavy snow or a 30% chance of heavy snow, and you're like, well, that's nothing. That doesn't sound like a big deal. What are they all talking about this for? Well, to get to those levels is a big deal because that's hard to get to that kind of a stat when you look at it in statistics. That's hard to get to in the world of meteorology. So it does stand out when we get to that level. But those values go up as you get closer. It's probability based on time. So the idea that it's far out and it's showing up already, it's kind of like having SBC throw out a day 7 severe weather outlook in the Ohio Valley 7 days in advance. Same idea. And you're like, wait a minute, that can't be good, right? Yeah, in this case, if we were to have a SBC outlook for a winter storm scenario for the weekend, we would likely be in that outlook for the weekend. So it gets a lot of attention that way. Now, can things change? Absolutely. And they will change. It's inevitable. As I mentioned before, the whole two rivers idea, we don't know yet how that will all interact. If one's going to be a little slower, I mean, it only has to be off just a tiny little bit, one of them, or both of them could be off, and you're going to get a different outcome. Every 4 to 6 hours, that gets thrown in everyone's faces, a different outcome, just slight changes. And I know the GFS especially tends to be a little more south on that, but it also has a bit of a bias of being always south. It can't really see the northern branch as well as it can be once it gets a little closer, but that's a known bias. Again, physics models, I think, are going to have a problem here. I really do. AI models, I think, will handle this better for now. Once we get shorter range, we'll go back to the physics models. We'll go back to short range, whether it is the NAM, whether it is the short range Canadian or the HER model. Once we get really close, those will help. Not so much in the AI models at that point. But in a longer term, several days out like this event is, I think AI and machine learning will do better. If you know, you know. For those model watchers out there, if it doesn't make any sense what I just said, don't worry about it. It's nothing. There's just a lot of you on here, so there's a lot of model people. No one should be giving out amounts yet, Susie, but I know the reason why you're seeing that on the Weather Channel, or probably on the weather app that comes with your iPhone, which is all, by the way, being produced by a computer. I won't get too worked up yet on that. It's hard to give amounts this far out, but that's what it's doing. It's not anyone sitting at a computer typing that out to you. So you'll see every time you probably check your iPhone app, if you look at the weather one, I get it, a lot of you do, it will have something different every day this week and probably multiple times a day. Ours is hand typed, and we're going to be pretty basic on this for a while, but the blogs are where we have a chance to really show you what we're looking at and the potential. I was going to do the snow meter. I know someone was asking me, I got an email asking me to do the Twix meter again. I may bring that back. We'll see. My current thought on that on a scale of 7 out of 10 is a 7 right now on the scale of potential impact. I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10. And I'll see if I change my mind through the week, but that's where I'm at now. Can you and Carson be together on Friday? It maybe. I think our shifts are going to be a little out of alignment there, but it's possible. It's possible, Austin. Winter storm index. I think I got it for you there, right? Rue, I think I got it for you there, what I just talked about. Any other questions? I mean, there's some stuff I can't answer. I think you guys get that, right? But I just want you guys not to panic. Don't worry. Some of you I know have anxiety on big systems like this. You're worried about what you're going to do, or what do you need to take care of, travel. You don't want this to be like the storm of the century kind of thing. I get that. I'm not saying that's what's coming our way, but it is important that when we issue these alert days, we do this so you can at least start thinking of those kind of things about what you may need to get on a supply setup. Because once the cold arrives here with this mess, this is not melting away. It may not melt away until after Valentine's Day. Whatever falls here, especially if we get several inches of snow out of the system, it's not going anywhere. So you need to, yes, in that sense, think, okay, what if I have this for multiple days? What do I need to do to make sure? Is my snow shovel busted up? Is it a handle loose on it? It may not handle this very well. Those kind of things are what we're talking about, not, packing up and leaving town, that kind of thing. I'm not saying unless you just want to. I'm talking about just little things that you need to start thinking of now that you can take care of this week on these calmer days and run those errands before it even gets here. And before supplies, because there will be, is typically the case, a rush on supplies that just naturally happens in these events. That's just human nature. So you know how human nature is. So just kind of be ahead of it. Get the milk and bread. Yeah, there you go, Jason. Get the milk and bread. My milk actually is my date's coming up on milk this week, I think. So I have to go get more milk. I'm terrified to go to the store. Maybe I'll just order online. It may be safer. It's never safe for a meteorologist to go in the store. I've learned that before. Trust you guys at Wave. You're very welcome, Tanya. Again, it's hard to always get into these discussions without it being interpreted as hype. because it talks about so much. But that's a double-edged sword. We either talk about it or we don't talk about it. You know what I mean? So I think you guys would rather us talk about it. And the ones that are understanding of how this works, you guys are fine. I'm not talking to you. You guys are professionals. I'm watching the blog. You get it. I'm talking about those that come to visit that normally are not here. Those are the ones I'm referring to. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that for right now. And we're going to have more on this throughout the day today. I'm going to have more maps I'm going to be working on for midday and look at more of the ensemble data. If we see anything start that's sticking out, yeah, I'll let you know. But don't get too worked up or concerned if there's a trend one way or the other, up or down on the snow. Just give it time. Just give it time this week. It needs more time in the oven. But there will be, I'm very confident. I am 100% confident that there's going to be a winter storm in the southeast corner of the country here, from the Tennessee Valley, parts of the Ohio Valley, and the Deep South. I'm 100% confident on that, just because this signal has been around for a long time. Before I even left for the holiday Christmas break, we were talking about this particular weekend. So I'm confident on this signal holding. I just am not confident on the amount of moisture and the track yet. But that's normal. I don't think you can be more confident on that. But as far as there being a system that reacts to this kind of setup, absolutely. Absolutely, it is going to happen. We just got to figure out what we're going to figure out, where we're going to be in the middle. All right, I'll stop rambling. We'll leave it at that. I will see you guys come up on midday at 11 a.m. coming up here very soon. All right, so take care, everyone. See you on the flip side.